Boys Gone Bland, Season 6, Episode 10, Passengers, and I am your pilot speaking, Denali.
I'm your co-pilot. How many co-pilots are there? 2 co-pilots?
I think there's at least 6 in a plane.
Oh, okay. So I'm your co-pilot, Brian.
I don't want to sit next to this screaming fucking baby all fucking plane ride.
Please go back to your
seat. You're not letting me sit. I'm gonna walk up to first class.
We can't
and I'm
close
gonna
the
sit.
cabin door.
I'm gonna sit in first class away from that fucking baby. You need to get it off the plane.
Sir, if you don't sit down.
I get paid too much for this. I'm gonna be over here.
You get paid too much for this?
Too much for this?
How much do you Hey, is being a pilot lucrative?
I don't know how much do the pilots make?
Pilots make good.
You guys think?
But the thing is, I think
you guys think it's enough?
The hours suck.
I mean, they gotta fly a plane, right?
Hey, I'm trying to cause a scene here, and you two are talking about a conversation about pilots, okay? And I feel like you're ignoring me now.
Sir, what is the problem?
Babies, they're ugly. That baby shouldn't be on a plane.
Okay, we'll throw the baby off the plane. No, I will sit next to you in first class. The baby will fly the plane, and then Ryan will co-pilot.
I'll serve the drinks.
You'll serve the drinks. The baby flies.
That's amicable to me.
We watched a plane movie, guys. In case you haven't picked that up from our skit.
Plane.
Yeah. Plane.
Though
Airplane.
I would not fight against the other plane.
Yeah, it's pretty plain.
It's a plane movie. Pretty straight down the middle. And this is Passengers without Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence. This is the other Passengers.
This is the budget Passengers.
The Kirkland Passengers from 2007. Featuring Anne Hathaway and the Kirkland actor, we decided, Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson, yeah.
Gets it done.
I'm never upset with Patrick Wilson, but
you know what? Yeah.
Stoked. I like the guy.
Well,
it's solid.
You mean like in general or like for this movie?
No, I liked his character. I liked his fucking creepy ass character.
I like how she literally describes him as a creep during the movie.
And he's still
and then it's like,
oh.
It's kind of cool seeing a movie capitalizing on like kind of the plane crash survivor hype of Lost, 2006. Like, do you remember like there was a weird period where like tons of movies and TV shows showed like plane crashes? Like,
yeah. Or like missing planes and stuff.
Missing planes, like it was like right after Lost.
Planes.
Snakes on a plane. Do you guys want to do a plane season? There's a lot of plane movies.
No.
There's Sully.
Actually might be pretty fucking good. Top Gun's a plane movie.
Top Gun, Airplane, Flight.
Or wait,
you may have
movies where they're like only on planes.
They're only on a plane.
Isn't there a movie just called Planes as a Cars knockoff?
Yeah, there's with the terminal count where he's in an airport. Trying to board a plane.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a good movie.
This could actually take the place of our Dad Core season because I think every plane movie is a Dad Core movie.
Yeah.
No, not this movie.
Not this.
This movie was.
No, it's not.
This was a supernatural movie for normies. I thought.
Yeah,
because
this is a normcore movie. Yeah.
It's pretty normy. Yeah. There's not a single hard take in the movie.
I like how we called the twist before we saw the movie.
Even seeing the movie, we were both like. By the way, if anybody is wondering about spoilers for this movie,
don't see this movie.
Get it out of the way. Right?
Don't see it.
You don't need to worry because
just listen to this.
Premise: a woman investigates a plane crash and talks to the survivors, and she's a therapist, and they're all acting weird, and they all have like different memories of the crash, and you can guess what happens. Like you can just by those 2 sentences.
She gets her license revoked.
Well, she should.
Yeah, but, she's not a good therapist.
Yeah, the twist is that it's a ghost world. Obviously, it's obviously Ghost World.
We fucking called Ghost World early.
We called Ghost World. I think on the podcast.
Well, did we call it? I don't think we did it on a hot mic. I think we did it on our text chat when we were watching the movie. We were like, Anne Hathaway is dead. And they're all fucking ghosts.
It's obvious that she's dead from the get-go.
Yeah,
quit
it's like
around
Sixth
the bush,
Sense.
Guys.
Yeah,
like, she's dead.
Yeah,
I thought the same thing. Denali. I was like, she's like the Bruce Willis.
Mm-hmm.
They're just doing Sixth Sense.
Doors aren't opening. People aren't responding. People are acting weird.
Yeah. And the sentences that could be interpreted multiple ways. Like way number 1, a normal sentence, but way number 2 is you and all your friends are dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't see this movie, guys. We're trying to spare you. Normally, I think we've done this too much this season, particularly, where we're like, it's a crazy concept. We don't want to spoil it. Please watch this movie. And we've done that to too many bad movies this season. And I feel like the audience, they're kind of tired of it. And I think for this one, we have to just be like, don't see it. It sucks.
They're all ghosts.
I mean, I liked it.
Did you like it, Ryan?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll get...
Because we can get into that.
We can get into that. It seemed like a fucking twisted Hallmark movie in a way, which is funny because it ends with opening a Hallmark card. Too.
Yeah, that's what I thought we were going to go into. It's like that this movie has an interesting concept, and why did they not like really lean into anything supernatural? I'm glad they didn't take too heavy of like a religious tone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But there wasn't anything The dog was kind of spooky, but that's it. You have a ghost movie where the entire movie is just normal. Like, at least Sixth Sense is scary.
Right. It's a ghost movie, and 90% of it is a quirky rom-com about a creepy man.
I know. If you're going to make it a rom-com, don't make the dude, like, seriously predatory.
Moms aren't high on ghosts, okay?
Yeah, they're high on Patrick Wilson.
Hence, movie Ghost with a different Patrick.
Was that...
He's great in Watchmen.
Insidious was pretty soon after this, right?
2009, I think.
He must have been having a hot streak.
Was he in Insidious? I thought he was.
Yeah, he's the dad.
Oh my God, he's in everything. What the fuck? Old reliable Patrick Wilson.
Is this dude just only in ghost movies? Hold
on. That's what I'm saying.
Wait.
That's what I want to get into with Patrick Wilson. It's like
Patrick Wilson season next.
He has a very explicit stereotype, and I'm wondering, guys, is Patrick Wilson dead?
Oh, is he a dead actor?
Ghost? And his thing is he can't go on to the afterlife until he makes the perfect ghost movie. So he just accepts all these ghost scripts.
Guys, he's in Phantom of the Opera.
Is that the plot? Is that what that's about?
He didn't nail it with Phantom. He's in Annabelle. He's in Bone Tomahawk, which is a period piece. So all those characters are technically dead.
He was in Aquaman, which is a dead franchise after everything.
Yeah, that movie's dead. The franchise is dead. The Alamo, more dead people. Anything else? There's a movie he's in, famous, Running with Scissors. That could cause a dead person. So that's another good one. The Watchmen. They all die at the end.
I think that's the one movie I like that he's in.
Patrick Wilson is like, he has like kind of that niche thing, like Zoe Saldana, how she always plays like aliens and stuff. It's like, this is his thing. And I think that's cool.
Point, yeah.
It's fucking cool. Patrick Wilson, you're welcome on the show anytime.
Oh, I like the dude.
I like him too. Let me just
look at his picture from 2017. He could beat the shit out of you.
Oh, he's ripped. Let's get real. He was hot Chris Pratt before hot Chris Pratt.
You know, that's what it is. I think he's good Chris Pratt. Do you guys like movies about planes in general? Do you guys like Final Destination, just plane adjacent movies? I mean, Jace, I know you were just on a plane, and it was very brave of you to like maybe watch this movie really close to that too. I mean, is it mundane? Is it?
I don't like them.
Yeah.
Because the plane experience is unpleasant, and we know it's unpleasant. The jokes have to be like, it has to be something in addition to being on the plane. It has to be like a commentary on like the human condition. Like there's a Seinfeld episode in the 90s and they're on planes all the time. And
was that the episode called Pilot? Sorry.
In one episode, Elaine's boyfriend, David Puddy, doesn't want to read a magazine or eat or anything like that. He just wants to stare at the back of the seat in front of him. And that's funny because that's not normal. But like just having normal jokes about how the people next to you are annoying and stuff like that. I don't know. It's over. I don't need more annoying stuff in my life. I need less annoying stuff, and I need more cool stuff.
I feel that too. Like it's too mundane. It's overdone. It's kind of like doing office humor now after post office space. It's been overdone.
And post working in an office.
Post working in an office, yes. Okay, because going into this movie, I announced, with the way we wanted to finish the Anne Hathaway season, I wanted something wild, right? And I saw this movie, I saw the description, I was like, this is at least something wild. I didn't want to watch a 3-hour movie or something that's going to emotionally scar me. Maybe it did a little bit with this movie, but I just wanted to say, this wasn't quite as wild as I wanted it to be, and it left like a weird, like you said, Ryan, kind of a normie energy in the room.
Yeah.
And
BNE.
big normie energy. Thank you.
Big normie. Oh.
Big normie energy. I was kind of just left very whelmed at the end of the movie, but like it kind of brings me to what we think about this season. I mean, you guys have talked about how you just like do not like a lot of Anne's movies this season. I feel like we were very whelmed by like half of them. Granted, we may have not picked her bangers. We think we picked the ones that maybe we thought were interesting.
Should you judge an actor based on their bangers?
I mean, maybe a little bit. We chose a lot of Ben bangers. It's like judging an artist by their best songs or something, like.
Yeah, really high highs and really low lows, or like just
isn't that what got us into this kind of shit situation where actors or artists of genres just chase those highs though? Like if we're just judging artists based on their peak songs, everything becomes kind of trite and everybody just tries to remake those highs. And that's kind of why we have a shit ton of Michael Bay films.
Everyone wants that Transformers. I mean, I think a good thought experiment with this is with Keanu Reeves, right? Someone with huge highs and huge lows. And what was our takeaway with Keanu Reeves? I mean, I think overall we still loved it, right?
Mm-hmm. It was so much better than this
shitters.
Season, where Anne Hathaway doesn't really take any big swings. I would say Colossal was like the biggest gamble we had this season.
I think it was
good,
yeah.
Yeah,
it was
paid
good.
off. I thought so. But like everything else is, man, this movie's about a ghost plane in a ghost world. And she's a ghost and don't know it. And how is it boring?
I think there was some serious missteps here with the direction. Like, I think the person that was directing her towards acting like a therapist was it's like this clear like we want you to really start throwing a lisp into your words and talk as quietly as possible. And it's kind of creepy. She's like, is that a common therapist voice?
I think it's like movie therapist voice where it's like,
how you feeling?
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, let me just write that down for a sec. Like, yeah, how do you feel about that?
No, I know what you mean. And she was terrible. It's not as though I think that she just couldn't pull off being a therapist. Like, that's not like it's a huge acting monument that people have to climb.
Yeah.
It's that, like, the script was bad. And I don't think that a different person in there could have done a much better of a job unless they had the pull to change the script.
I think so I'm being a little harsh here because I just got done, or I am continuing to watch The Patient with Steve Carell.
Oh,
and
really?
He is a therapist that gets kidnapped. And I'm just like, unfortunately, he's got a lot of screen time. And I'm like, is she asking the right questions as a therapist?
Look, I mean, I can't judge Anne in this movie, I think, at all, because it's just the reasons why it was bad. I don't think it was because of her acting.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think this is also pretty early on in her career, too. Like, this is, I realize that she's only 25 in this movie, which is kind of mind-blowing considering what her role is in this movie. And also that Patrick Wilson is like 10, he's like in his mid-30s.
She's
also
25?
A little gross, yeah. Yeah. So
she has a PhD in this movie.
Oh, no, she doesn't. Okay, actually,
I think she's like working on it.
I want to ask that question.
He was like a PhD that never ends.
Yeah, so I'm confused. There are a few things in this movie. I have two in mind right now that I just want to hash out that really bothered me. The start was that her childhood kind of mentor from, I think it was a museum, said, "What are you doing, Anne? You have 2 masters and a PhD that never ends." Which means that she hasn't graduated. She hasn't gotten her PhD, which means she's not a doctor.
But she's a ghost.
Okay, yeah, that's totally fair.
Ghost hint.
But
yep.
But like then everyone calls her doctor, and I'm like, I don't think that's kosher. That's unethical right there. But the second one is at the very end of this thing when we find out that the one guy who is with the airline, we think is with the airline and is trying to uncover the plot, eventually ends up saying that the plane crash was his fault. And we get the scene at the end where we see him hitting on one of the other workers on the plane, and then it cuts out the window where the engine is on fire. How bad of a co-pilot do you have to be to to have control the plane for 10 minutes for the engine to blow up.
Well,
He said he's
I
going through a
totally
divorce.
agree.
I
Like,
think he's just having some guilt, but the way that the story is shown, where he just leaves the cockpit and then all of a sudden the engine is on fire, a co-pilot is still a pilot with thousands of hours of flying experience.
I think he had the blow up co-pilot from the movie Airplane in that scene. So I think
Okay.
the blow up guy couldn't see it. So
the thing that doesn't make sense to me is that the pilots don't leave.
don't they
They're
piss
not a-
themselves?
They're not allowed to leave the cockpit.
Okay, we're getting out of our GBGB patented format. Because we normally announce when we're getting into the movie, and then we do the synopsis and we talk about the movie. I guess we already did the synopsis, Ryan. You took my synopsis,
I
Ryan.
didn't take the
God damn
synopsis.
it!
He just mentioned that they
You
were
said what the
ghosts.
movie was about.
No, they're about.
Fucking A.
That
Well,
was a
now I gotta
spoiler.
retread the same ground.
He didn't
Yeah.
even mention the
I-
motorcycle.
Oh, the
Dude.
hot motorcycle scene. Okay. All right. You know what? I'll do a synopsis really quick.
Oh,
'cause
it's your
I guess
synopsis. Okay.
Ryan already said some of it. Okay, Anne Hathaway is a therapist, okay? And a plane crash, there was 109 passengers and 9 survivors. Oh shit, or are there? And then Anne Hathaway gets assigned to be the therapist for all the passengers, which is kind of fucked up unless you're a ghost. And then so she meets up with all these passengers. There's one of them who's a little too happy about surviving an airplane crash. And then he's a little too creepy and knows a lot of shit about her. And then there's a bunch of stuff. There's maybe a conspiracy about like how the plane actually crashed, and she's trying to solve it. Everything is like really dreamy and vibey. And then as I guess we already spoiled, Anne is a ghost, and everyone is ghosts in this movie. We will walk you up to this, I guess, as we talk about this. But yeah, that's the movie. I don't know if I added anything new there, but I mean it's a movie that thinks it's like really clever and wild. Like I feel like they tried to do the same vibiness as The Sixth Sense, where it's kind of like it almost seems like a dream state. Things are implied, relationships are implied, and they try to flip it on its head. But it was done in a way that it just seemed totally half baked. Just really bizarre movie. And also seeing, I don't know, Andre Braugher outside of Brooklyn Nine-Nine
Yeah, I
in a role like this was really bizarre. I was like, oh, is he like her boss? Like, what was the deal there? To get into like the initial setup where they're like, you should handle the whole group of survivors, Anne. And he said, that's to shake you out of your comfort zone. I wrote down like, LOL, toxic healthcare workplace culture in a nutshell. But now I'm realizing, looking back, maybe it's because he's a ghost and he wants her to realize she's a ghost.
Maybe that's the plot of the movie.
That's it, right?
Yeah, it is
like
the plot of the movie.
it's that she is surrounded by these ghosts.
Who set
help
her
her
on the right
realize-
path to figure
so-
out that
yeah.
she's dead and
Yeah.
come to terms with it. You
So
know,
she just
can-
happened to
can
be
I-
a therapist. They just he was
Yeah.
like, hey, all the ghosts need to be in the same room together.
convenient.
Pretty good setup.
It's kind of like the Good Place. They have to like find a reason to put everybody in the same spot.
Yeah, it's kind of
Was
torturous
right.
for her.
And
Kind of fucked up.
can
Yeah.
I get your thoughts?
Yeah.
So a lot of times when we're talking about supernatural movies, or
Mhm.
at least movies set in a different universe where there's some ground rules, we think about whether or not you would want to live in this universe. Would you want to live in
Oh,
the Passengers universe?
I would not even transfer out of this fucking limbo. It's sick. It's got
I know,
literally everything that you want in it, including
Yeah.
background ghost characters, and you can just rip around on a motorcycle and maybe sometimes have a little bit of PTSD from a plane crash.
Yeah, and also ghosts canonically can have sex in this universe
with each other.
with each other.
With,
Ghosts are
and like
busting
make new
nuts.
connections.
Well, we don't know that. We don't
We
know
don't
about
know
the
ghosts.
new connections.
we
thing.
didn't know. Yeah, we didn't.
because they
we didn't know if they could
leak.
bust nuts either.
Yeah. Do you think I can email the writer for this script and ask if
they bust nuts?
canonically, like he wrote like in the script bust nuts, and he knew it was ghosts, so he wrote ectogism.
Okay, because
God
like,
damn it, I'm sorry.
because ghosts, like they're using shit in our world, right? He steals a boat. They're like fucking taking elevators.
It's
and
not our
shit.
world at all.
It's not our world. I think it's
Is it
limbo.
100% ghost world.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the guy in the car that was a ghost. For some reason,
Yeah,
that dude was like helping them. They're like your life is surrounded by people who are helping you come to realization. And there's a guy who like almost ran them over in a car once, and he's like, it cuts to him. He's like, "Hello."
Yeah,
Like, why did that help?
that was his role where I'm gonna counsel her. And this other guy's like, oh, I'm gonna form a relationship with her. And this other guy's like, I'm gonna hit him with a car, and that's gonna help. I want that guy's job.
I think this world is cool.
it is cool.
pretty cool.
It's fucking cool. They can eat.
I want some more rules. I
Oh.
want some more rules, and that's a problem with like some of these universes that are underdeveloped. Is that it's hard for me to imagine alternate circumstances and play around in my mind with what I would do in that circumstance because
Yeah.
it's all soft rules. And if they told us some more ground, like, oh yeah, these are people who agree. We have like a whole meeting on who's gonna come back and help who. And then they come back and we got the dog to agree. He signed a contract. And then we structure this whole thing out and we plan it. Like I want to know if that's the case or if they're just improving.
Yeah.
Well-
Like, is it all vibes? Like, what?
And
what's
then if you die, are you like obligated to do this?
right? Like, help other ghosts.
Yeah. Once you find out, is now Anne Hathaway gonna help someone else?
Well, so that's what he did. That's what I don't even fucking know. his
Patrick
name. That's what
Wilson.
Patrick
Yeah.
Wilson's character did because he was finding out subsequently that he was dead and a
He
ghost
stuck around for a little bit.
Wait,
Yeah.
yeah, he didn't know he was dead.
until like one scene in the movie where he was
train.
like, "It killed me. Oh, I've actually died."
The
Yeah.
dog scene when he's like, "That's my dog."
Yeah.
I was like, was the dog the pilot, and that's why the plane crashed? I thought that. I wrote that down. It's the first dog pilot. It's Dog Bud.
Airbud.
Air Dog. Air Dog.
Airbud 7.
He becomes a pilot and fucking crashes. There's no rules saying a dog can't fly a plane.
It's like, no, actually, the FAA did amend our rule set to include no dog pilots after the success of Airbud 1.
Yeah, every
Everybody,
field.
every organization needs to take a good hard look at its rule book.
We need
After
a constitutional amendment to say that dogs cannot be congressmen or presidents after post Airbud, because we're wide open in so many realms post Airbud. Now that this
Think about
idea
how
is
many
out
times
there.
you haven't read you haven't wrote like if you're making a rule and you didn't write specifically a person.
Yeah.
That this must only humans.
Only Homo sapiens, human being can fucking drive this bus.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing to do too, because like in the inevitable circumstance where we get overrun by aliens, we want
Yeah.
to have some sort of document, you know.
We'll stop. Okay, okay. So like, let's clarify. So
spitballing
the
here.
dog was not on the plane,
Yeah.
and wasn't driving, and it's a dog from his past.
And also,
And-
when you're a ghost in this world, you just don't recognize people.
No, you have no. Well, they have no brains in Ghost.
Do some memes.
Like, what concerns me about this world a little bit too is that like it's implied that Anne and Patrick Wilson's characters kind of continue their relationship in some capacity. Like they have this connection that they built, but like how do ghost relationships go when it's like literally that's your eternal existence, right? Like, are they ever gonna have a falling out? Like, are they
Yeah.
stuck together? Like, because they seem
I've
to have
thought about that a lot
personalities,
with
yeah.
the concept of like widows
yeah.
and widowers remarrying after somebody died. You get up to
Oh
heaven.
my god.
And imagine all three of you sitting there. It's a Three's Company situation.
Oh, Jesus.
Ryan,
Christ, that's
honey, it's
horrible.
okay. We have orgies in heaven all the time. I haven't been
That's
celibate
see,
since
that's
I got
the,
here.
That's the loophole.
That's we keep coming back to ghost orgies again and again. I don't know how much ghost orgy content I can cut out,
Oh,
but it's
yeah,
inevitable. We need to dissect this. I think these ghosts are having orgies, all right? Because like, what else are you gonna do in Ghost World? They can't pay taxes. They can't fucking drive.
Yeah, I think at that point, like, it's kind of accepted that a lot of the stigma that's in our world right now, the real world,
Yeah, yeah.
is the fact that we only have one life to live. You
Yeah.
know, you got 80 something years. Don't screw it up. You know, be pretty good and have a good reputation by the end of it. But if imagine you have 800 million years,
Oh my god, yeah. Or,
you know,
or just
some
like
of
infinite
those years are gonna get forgotten. They're gonna slip between the pages.
with the ghost orgies.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get a little more creative. I think you get a little more leeway, a couple more mulligans in the ghost world than you do in real life.
No, that's cool. I think it's a cool concept. Wait, speaking of ghost nudity, okay, did you guys notice the two main characters are introduced nude in this movie for no
Yeah.
reason?
Why
Like-
is that too? Like, why was he naked?
And
And
why,
why
was
did she walk up and like stand between his legs?
It was like really weird, right? And he's like
Yeah.
smiling naked, and then she like like I didn't want to even write this down because it sounds weird to like note it, but like in the beginning I was like, why is she in the nude in this
Yeah,
scene?
she was sleeping naked.
Like there was no reason to do that in the movie.
Well, no. Okay, let's be 100% clear about why that
Oh
happened.
yeah,
I
it's
sleep
fucking
naked
gross
if I'm home.
ass. Yeah, okay.
It's
Hold on.
because the men directing the movie and producing it and shooting on the cameras and stuff, they wanted to see naked famous women, so they
Right.
write a scene where the woman's naked. This is classic Friday the 13th material.
And it's just weird that they're both introduced naked. Like I don't know, the fact that they're both like that, it's just a juxtaposition. Or I was like, is this an artistic choice? But it's
Well, and
probably
then
just
there's
a
like
gross
one
thing.
scene where I guess sleeping naked makes sense, but the Patrick Wilson scene, like,
He was
doesn't
awake.
even logically make sense. If
Yeah,
there's
he was.
a naked man in a room, you don't just
Yeah.
walk in and start having a conversation with him.
No, I'm
You
like, oh, I'm
stand
sorry.
right
Yeah.
between his legs. Like you would say, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Yeah, like you let him get dressed. But
He wasn't going to.
no,
Let's be
he
real.
wasn't. He was
Well,
fucking
then you
weird.
don't have a conversation with the person. Like
Yeah,
that's
no.
the way society works. If they're not following the rules, they don't get to engage in society.
This guy, Patrick Wilson, like to talk about his performance, he is so unsettling in a friendly way that seems like real and not like a character. Like it seems like people I've met before who are just in that weird, overly friendly state. That's really creepy. It drives me in the wrong way. I thought that was pretty good, even if it was written badly. Like
Yeah,
he
the
played
dialogue
that.
was terrible, but I think he did a fine job in that. He showed up at a woman's house in the middle of the night to give her her personal belongings back.
Yeah, that was
She
bad.
called him a creep, but then they were cool like the next day.
Yeah, his whole character was like extremely aggressive. It was like really off-putting.
You're
and then he went
beautiful.
on that. Yeah, like, and then he's like, I have theories about beautiful women.
Oh my god, that pissed me off so much. That was the most patronizing thing I've heard in
It
a
was
long
horrible.
And she
then,
stops him. Do you want to hear my theory or not? It's
yeah,
like,
he fucking
no.
interrupts her.
No.
Like, you want to hear my theory about women or not? Like, Jesus Christ, dude. Yeah, that was fucking bad. And I thought it was like Anne in this role is playing an overworked, kind of burnt out, I guess, emotionally crisis worker. And like I thought it was a decent kind of performance, but then once it entered that rom-com like era of the movie, it like totally went out the window for me. I just could not put my finger on any of the performances. The tone just like took a big old shitter for me. It's just
Yeah, I
you do one or the other. Just
I
like
was
don't
giving-
try to blend them.
I was giving the bad opening like the benefit of the doubt, and thinking
Mhm.
because I knew, well, I predicted that this would go somewhere interesting. So I
Mhm.
said at the beginning of the movie, it's not fine. Well, it's kind of sucks, but I'm sure it'll get interesting. The middle of the movie freaking is sucks.
Oh, dragged
unnecessary.
ass.
The
Like,
the bad guy just follows her around, and sometimes he just is going through TSA, and she like knows where to find him. It's like, if I go to TSA at the airport, this guy will be there.
Yeah, what I was like, what does this guy do? He's at the CSA desk, and then he's going through TSA, and then he's
And
like
then
randomly,
she says,
yeah.
I was talking to this guy who works for the airline. That's her explanation for who she's trying to target. Some guy who works for the airline. That's what job we got, and that's
That
why
means
she was
nothing,
talking
yeah.
to him. Like, you know how many people work for those freaking airlines? Like, he doesn't know anything.
It's like, yeah, like he could be like a bags guy, he could be a
Yeah.
janitor. Like, what does that mean? Like, I also think it's funny that like it's just some fucker from Delta Airlines is being sent to like intimidate like a crisis group, which I
Right.
feel like is just like
It was
very on par.
Men in Black, not the movie, but like the story
Mm-hmm.
of
Just, like,
the
people,
men in the
like-
suits who would show up to like people who claimed to have seen a UFO, and they would show up and intimidate them.
Yeah. The thing with like Anne's, we talked about Anne as like a therapist to get back to that as well, because I feel like we're getting to that point too. It seems like she's very amateurish, and I know that's like her character's supposed to be young, but like I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to argue people's delusions to their face and like
and just
dismiss
state them
them.
every time that crosses your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's that really just shook me where he was like, "Oh, I think this is happening." And she's like, "No, you're crazy. That's not happening at all." And I'm like, "That's not what you say as a therapist." like I know that with no education.
And also
like,
the one guy who's like, "No, I'm really not bothered by it. It was, a traumatic experience, but I'm coming out the other side thinking I have a new lease on life." And she's like, "No, you should be sad."
yeah.
You're
That's
my
like the
patient.
plot of the movie. Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
I just denied any care and I'm an adult. You have to let me leave. What do you...
Yeah, like his whole thing where he's like, first of all, I'm not anybody's patient. And she's like, okay, we're just hanging out now. And I'm like, that is
Just go
so
home. You don't have to be
inappropriate.
hanging out with this dude. Like, he just said he's not your patient.
Yeah, like, is she okay? Like, what the fuck is this?
I would have put they used that group. I think they could have done it more tastefully, like the whole idea behind this therapy thing in the group session. Yeah, and how the questions were handled and there was an explosion. No, there wasn't an explosion. And then she like flip-flopped between being like, well, there could have been, but maybe there wasn't, and being antagonistic but between both parties.
Antagonistic.
It's like they should have just separated the scene to individual therapy sessions and then given us the lead up that each one of these characters thinks something different happened.
Yeah, I agree. Like, the group therapy scene seemed a little dead. Like, it didn't really advance the plot as much as I feel like it needed to. And also, they were just not exciting to watch at all.
There's some crazy good group therapy scenes in other media. And they can be a very, very efficient and powerful way to tell a story because someone can be disclosing for the first time. There's something very traumatic.
Right.
And people don't, a lot of people aren't great storytellers, but they do their darndest in a group therapy session, at least in the media I'm talking about. And in this, they're just like, can you sleep well? Like, no. You want some medication? No. Okay. Glad this was in the movie.
Yeah, it's like a terrible improv group. It's just like everyone's just shutting everything down, and
it's like someone who's bad at improv being forced to do improv.
I have no idea.
To it, people who
can't relate.
Maybe aren't quite so experienced, but are a little bit more into it than them, and you just feel like, no matter, you can't like just be.
Is that like the Three Brothers podcast?
The whole situation.
Oh, my brother, and me. Yeah, no, those guys. They should get on the same page. Yeah, between that and the like pseudo rom-com, the quirky rom-com in the middle of this movie, like the tonal whiplash is terrible. I feel like this could have been an interesting neo-noir, and it's like a second director kind of came in and was like, like this creepy fucking guy you're supposed to be scared of, like I'm going to make him like really likable and funny and like try to make him seem charming, and like he's going to do things like pretend to jump off a roof and fake it and like do something really traumatic to Anne and make her laugh. Like it's just like the vibe and the tone was very weird.
A few of those pranks or I guess jokes for him would have been good if they didn't build the entire character around them.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's like you get to the point where you're like, I mean, I know what he's gonna do. He jumps in the water. He's not gonna come up until she gets into the water. He just jumps off the roof. She runs up. Are you bastard? And he's like,
right.
What?
What's the problem?
Yeah, Jace, you are very close to probably my biggest criticism of this movie, and that's the character background is so terrible. And all we know of Anne's background is that she had an argument with her sister once.
Should have called her.
And that's it. Like, that's her whole character's motivation, is that one time she had an argument with her sister. And that's all of the character development we get for any character in the entire movie. One time Patrick Wilson said he was close to being married, but he ran away from it. But that's not really a background because it doesn't like affect his personality at all.
He had a dog.
Yeah, okay, he had a dog.
A sick-ass workstation that he ended
pretty
up hating.
Sweet. Yeah, pretty sweet workstation.
He was obviously fucking rich. Did you see that apartment that he's living
like
in?
A VP of operations or something? Like, yeah, and he's like, now I got a new lease on life. Yeah, not a lot of things going on with these characters, and also just like get back to their dynamic. I mean, I've just had it with like the 2000s like uptight business lady being shown how to be carefree by funny swashbuckling man thing where he's like, haha, come on, and she's like, oh, I can't, I shouldn't, and like he's like bringing her out of her shell or whatever in like a super toxic manipulative way. And I feel like guys watch shit like this and they think that's gonna help them like get into relationships or something. Like,
did you get kind of like a pickup artist vibe?
Yes, 100. Yeah. That's exactly what I was like. Yeah, and he's kind of like doing these weird like insulting her, but also like forcing her to do things that she's uncomfortable with. and it's being played for like laughs, and like you hear the cellos in the back like dun, 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 dun. Like it's supposed to be like a quirky fun scene, and I was just like not having it. I know you guys are like cringing too, like watching these scenes. Like it was big ick for me.
Can
Okay.
we? I mean, I think we're doing a really good job. Let's talk about let's give our scores because I have some couple thoughts I'd like to broach. And
Yeah.
I don't want to just have not really a direction.
No, yeah, let's do it. So this is gonna be our final, because this is episode 10, which I keep forgetting, is because this season has been very spacious. We decided on our Hathawometers. This is how Anne Hathaway was this movie. We can also insert judgments about said artist, or just like about the movie in general, about how it fits the overall vibe of this artist's work. So, Hathawometers. Who's been starting with Hathawometers this season?
Not
Has
me.
it been
I'm taking a
Jace?
break.
I think it was Jace. What's your Hathawometer on this thing?
I'm just gonna go with a 3.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely on the lower half
Yeah.
of the 1 to 10 scale. I originally had 0 written. And I was like, that's unfair.
That is unfair.
I think it's unfair because I think she was trying, but it was painful to like have the therapist in the movie based on like the scenes that they were showing be reduced to just talk lighter and talk wispier. And unfortunately it's not her fault, but the audio of the movie was mixed in a way that like you're in her mouth with the plosives. And I know there's some of that in her other movies, but like not like the first 30 minutes of this. That really took me out of it. I think it was just a miss overall, some misdirection, and then unlike these ghosts, she couldn't have saved it.
Like these ghosts? Unlike these? I guess, yeah.
These, I don't know.
Like these ghosts?
Yeah.
It's
a 3.
a 3. Yeah, Jace, I'm kind of feeling that. I think what I'm gonna settle on for me is probably a 5. I'm gonna shoot it straight down the center because I think her performance was fine. There was that scene where she discovers she was a ghost. I thought that was actually a pretty good, well acted scene. It felt like a real panic attack. I kind of felt that when she was like freaking out in those scenes. The rest of the movie, she seemed like she was acting pretty naturally. I never get those moments with Anne where I'm kind of like, oh, that's a person acting in this movie. But yeah, like kind of my overall gauge with the Hathawometer or any other of our movie or like actor meters we have is like, if you're a fan, an Anne fan, are you gonna like want to recommend this movie or watch this movie to get like, I guess like an Anne flavor or whatever? That's not this movie. You're not gonna watch this because of Anne Hathaway. You're not gonna watch this for any reason. It's a bad display of her strengths, and it's not iconic at all. Like I can see why this movie was quickly digested and forgotten within like a year of it coming out, because I had never even fucking heard of this movie, and you know I was watching TV back then. So yeah, 5 I think is very generous for this.
Yeah, I'm gonna be more in line with Jace, and I do think that she did an okay job. It's just she gets some blame for choosing these bland movies over and over and over. I understand that she was very early in her career. I didn't realize that when I was watching it, but I mean, in that way, she was a professional. She's a professional actress. She doesn't try to blow up the sets or anything like that, as far as I can tell. So it's not like she was trying to pull her name across the title and say, I need, writing credits and changing my lines. And she wasn't doing that. She's just reading the script. But then again, don't take the boring movies, Anne. Like, there's so much other cool stuff. This is stuck in that time period for about 10 years, from like the mid 2000s to mid 2010s, where almost every movie had a lead male and a lead female.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, in The Island, it's Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson.
Great movie.
And then,
fuck.
Yeah,
well, right.
This movie's sweet.
This movie's not as good as that. And the Adjustment Bureau, or like Mr. and Mrs.
That's a sweet
Smith,
movie.
and all
Yeah.
these movies where like the best.
Are we doing
one of
couple
them was-
movies?
I know, but the best one of them was Edge of Tomorrow, with Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt.
That was a good movie.
But,
Yeah.
like, just watch that movie instead. Why would you ever watch this movie? Watch The Other Passengers.
They're
like,
not dead in those.
Well,
I don't. We
and
haven't seen Passengers.
but so in that way, she's just yeah, she's just this is her one of her entries into that catalog of movies, and I have to give her a low score. I'm gonna give her probably a 3 as well. That's a fair score, I think.
All right, not so good for the Hathawometers. I'm curious to see what our net average this season's going to be. But as for our movie meters, what do we think about this dang thing overall? Independent of our subject, do we like the movie? Thumbs up or thumbs down, Jace? What's your movie meter?
Man, this is kind of tough. I'd rather watch Serenity again, but I gave Serenity a 0.
Jesus Christ.
um, I'm gonna give Piss and Jars a 1. It doesn't make. That's not a good joke.
Piss in jars. That's like if the movie went to middle school,
Yeah.
and you're like a better movie.
Yeah. On a more serious note, I guess I'm gonna give this movie a 1. It's supposed to be like, a spooky drama, and it's really not spooky, and I don't think the drama is all that worthy of any kind of acclaim. Like for me, the movie fell flat on its face in the outset, to the point where at the 45-minute mark, I was pushing 10-second fast forwards.
No,
To get-
you can't do that, Jace.
to get through
That's
the dialogue.
cheating. That's cheating.
I was literally skipping through, like, I think the scene where they start to become, where she's sitting on the bench talking to her mentor. And I'm like, before speeding back up to maybe a crawl, where I thought that maybe the final act had a bit more vision and a bit more emotion in it that the whole movie could have used. Like, honestly, the sister going into the apartment at the end was, to me, like a better scene than the payoff in that scene was great, and it was kind of heartfelt. But there wasn't anything that I think in this that they did special that, wasn't done better by another movie, or where they didn't put enough effort in the areas that they needed to, I guess. Not a flop.
Yeah.
It was a flop. It's a 1.
Shit. Speaking of the ending, how bad was that airplane scene? Like with that plane crash scene at the very end.
When the girl
Holy
puts
shit.
her headphones in.
Yeah.
I wish that you. I'm just like thinking of that. Walk back from my age, my friend.
Yeah, it was just like
Could
one
you
of those
imagine
weird
it's from
moments.
like a few years earlier than that, and she puts it in, and it's All Star by Smash Mouth.
Hey now. Is that your plane crash song? I mean, and then the plane just like blows apart, and then just like no one's reacting to the wind somehow. I don't know. It was bad. Yeah, like, God, bad. This movie's not good, man. I was like, my first note in this movie, at first, I was like, oh, this is kind of like a little vibey. There was kind of like this atmospheric soundtrack, and it kind of had this like 2000s kind of neo-noir vibe, and I was like, oh, I kind of like this. The aesthetics are a little interesting. There's some like interesting shots at first with like the plane, but then it just unraveled so quickly as soon as the dialogue started. And then just all of the tones that I liked in like the very first like maybe 2 minutes just completely went out the window again. I feel like this movie was maybe like in development hell or something, where they were just like maybe passing along between directors or producers, because it just seemed like a tonal nightmare. They probably made like 4 movies total with all that they filmed and all that they wrote. I feel like they could have split this into like very different themes. It just, none of it was working for me. Anne and Patrick's relationship, which I feel like is the heart of the movie, did not fucking work on any level. It was gross. Also, their age difference, I know it's like only like 10 years. It still felt gross. Like I was saying, he gives like big dad energy, and she gives the energy of like a 25-year-old in this movie, and it felt weird to me watching this. If that doesn't work, I think that's a really big problem with your movie, maybe with how you cast it or how you directed it. Also, all of the twists that kind of came, I didn't have an oh shit moment. Like we said, Ryan and I called the fucking twist before we saw it. My only eyebrow raise moment was when Mr. Arkin was revealed to be the pilot. I was like, oh, That's fun. That's fun that they did that. And that was like my only reaction. The rest of the movie was an absolute slog. It was like knee deep in hog shit, just trying to fucking trudge to the other side. Just like Jace, like you fast forward in this movie. I was my finger was on that arrow key watching this on Amazon Prime, and I was like, no, you're gonna fucking do this right. You're gonna do this right. You're gonna watch every second of this stupid movie you paid $3 for. All right, but I fucking hate. All right, it's gonna be a 1. It's gonna be a 1, because I give it 1 point because they really tried to take a little bit of a swing here. It was a complete miss, big ol' whiff, woof, 1.
Man, can I say that the number floating around in my head was a 4?
Wow.
It's 4 times higher than ours. It's
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I mean, I think just subjectively, I like these types of movies, and
sure.
the thing was terrible, objectively terrible. I think closer to a 1, but like subjectively, I don't know. Sometimes you like garbage,
Yeah,
and
of course.
people like Hallmark movies.
You gave Serenity a 7, so
Hell yeah!
You gave Serenity a 7? What
Serenity's
the
my
fuck?
Sahara.
Dude. Oh my god.
And so my biggest critiques are, number 1, it's obviously set in Vancouver. Just say that.
Just
Like,
say it.
It's
Oh,
obviously
yeah.
filmed in Vancouver.
You cowards.
I can't even tell what time of day it is. That means it's in Seattle or Vancouver. And just do it. Like, oh my god, it's so annoying. And like, it's not in America. That's fine. That's totally okay, you guys. Just
Yeah,
be
okay.
Canadian.
Just be Canadian. Say a boat.
Yeah, and there's 3 other movies I can say that are better than this, but have the same vibe. And one is Sixth Sense, and the other is Unbreakable, also by M. Night Shyamalan.
Yes, Shyamalan
And
season.
The other is The Ring. Like, if you're looking for a horror, go The Ring. If you're looking for something in the middle, go Sixth Sense. And Unbreakable.
Yeah.
Unbreakable
Yeah.
is amazing, and just watch that movie instead. Don't watch this movie. But it doesn't mean I didn't like it. I didn't really, but I kind of did. Julie fell asleep during the movie. That says something.
Wow.
And I watched the whole thing. And
Has she
in
ever
the
done that?
Yeah. And
Okay.
this morning she woke up and was like, I was talking to her. She's like, so what happened in the movie? What happened in the end? I was like, oh, what we thought. She said, oh, they were all ghosts.
Oh, no.
And it was like, yeah. She's like, and she found out by assumably getting a copy of the manifest.
Oh my god. She just like called it right from the.
Yeah, from the get go.
This seems like sorry, go ahead.
That's fine. Like, you know what? Like, that tells me they did something right, and that we all knew what was going to happen before we even watched the movie. That's not always a bad thing. 90% of the movies don't have a twist. Like, this movie couldn't decide whether it needed a twist or not, and I think it should have gone into not a twist. And that's kind of where my
Ooh,
ends.
you're dead.
Yeah,
They
and
should have
play
opened
around
with that
it a
she's-
little bit. You know,
Yeah.
give me the rules. I want the rules of
Oh yeah.
the purgatory, and then that would be a little bit. You could save it, but I'm gonna go with the 4. And you know what? Gut check. I'm going with the 4.
Ryan,
4.
you and Enrique Sanchez 56 have something in common, and that's that you both like this movie. And he gave it
What
a 10 out of 10.
Is that on like the
It's on
whatever?
IMDb.
Wow.
43
I
out
mean-
of 56 people found this helpful. His review.
Huh? Imagine that.
How could a review be helpful?
I mean, Ryan, to get to your point though, like I feel like this movie could have been, a dumb person's favorite movie. Like
Yeah,
this
that's what I
was a
mean.
big swing. Like
Oh
that's
my
what I
god,
mean.
they were ghosts the whole time.
Somebody's
like-
sitting there eating popcorn, not paying attention, and their jaw hit the floor.
Mm-hmm. So I think this movie deserves some credit for that. Maybe for next season we can do movies where characters are dead the whole time. Maybe we can
Yeah,
Google
but that's
that.
kind of like a spoiler situation.
If we always know the entire movie.
have
We
to
can do
Google the plot of
RIPD.
every movie.
Yeah, so I mean, did we just finish the end season?
Well, we have
Did
to
we
do
just
a
finish
recap, but thank God
the
we don't have to watch a
Annestitution?
movie for that.
Oh, the recap. Yeah, the recap is fucking easy. That's a free lunch. All right, those suckers have no idea how easy those state of the podcasts are.
Have we decided that actors are out and themes?
At
are in?
least for this, for sure.
next season. Yeah,
For sure.
I
For
don't
next season.
think I'm getting like we've previously had this like metaphor analogy, whichever one of those tools it is, to we're in a house or we're locked
Yeah.
in a room or something. And honestly, I don't think I'm getting out of the institution.
I don't think
I think I'm locked in here forever.
10 more movies?
I was not able to prove that I'm sane. In fact,
Yeah, I think we
Quite the
this
opposite.
yeah.
this one I feel like when we can discuss the Anne season more in depth, obviously in State of the Podcast. But I feel like this season was our most challenging because it was just like tons of bland movies that we really didn't like, or movies that were like had a weird like disturbing undertone to them.
Yeah.
Um,
And I do have a very different opinion of her now.
I
than
do
did.
too.
And I think we
Yeah.
are very qualified to speak on her.
As
like
three
her-
men,
as 3 men, 3 white men in their 20s. Know exactly what she's going
cishet
through.
men. We can and that was the other thing I want to definitely talk about at our State of the Podcast is like I'm still trying to like digest, like I was listening back to our old Anne episodes and just the fact that like we're still 3 guys judging a female artist's work. It still feels a little weird, even though we're just like watching them and we're trying to enjoy them, and it's just I don't know if we cracked it. We might have a little bit. I don't know if we
You
cracked
guys
it.
wanted this.
We did.
At least
I
this
don't know.
was an Anne movie. Like
Yeah. Oh,
sometimes
yeah.
with Serenity, I felt
There
really
was
bad
not an
because
Anne
she was
movie.
just
Yeah.
she was just brought in.
That's why we
and-
can't watch Les Mis. 15 minutes of screen time? Like, what?
Yeah.
I do love Hugh Jackman.
Do you think he has a brother named Normal Size Ackman?
Stupid. But thank you guys for joining us with the Annestitution. Thank you guys for bearing with our gaps in recording and editing and all of that. This was a bumpy season, mainly because of
Denali
our
almost
lives,
dying.
and hope you'll forgive us. And hopefully with this coming season, we can be a little more consistent with our schedule. But we thank you guys regardless for continuing to tune in and seeing us through with the Annestitution.
I'm not sorry that we had delays in our schedules. It's been a crazy, wild summer.
Yeah, it was a lot, guys, and we hope you'll join us for State of the Podcast. Where not only will we digest the Anne season and what we think about the movies and how we did, but also discuss, I don't know, season 7. And so feel free to DM us, comment, whatever. If you have any ideas
Male.
for season 7, yeah, mail us at, and this is where I'll insert Ryan's address, and we will, we'll take your ideas into consideration. We want to know what you guys want to see as well, because we got 6 seasons down up in here. We've watched
We're pretty
60.
much experts.
Have we watched 60 movies together?
60
now?
plus bonuses, and we watched like 5 bonuses.
Jesus, that's a lot of movies. I think that's
That's a lot
more
of
movies than I've seen in my life.
How many
With you
Teletubbies
dudes.
movies are there?
I think
Jace.
20.
Jeez.
Okay, Jace,
Cool.
just think very carefully about what you're suggesting.
It goes on the wheel.
Yeah, so I guess join us next week or whenever we can record. Do you guys have any closing comments about Passengers, about life?
Yeah, in the United States, since the year 2000, there have only been 19 fatal plane crashes. And I can almost
Oh.
guarantee there have been more movies made about fatal plane crashes than the actual incident, which begs me to ask the
Those are
question
pretty much all
if,
those
like,
planes.
I'm looking at commercial aircraft. There are a
Oh.
lot more if it's and there are a lot more non-fatal crashes, which are also
Yeah.
including push
Yeah.
buttons. But like things that are like more scary, like lobster hurricanes. And
Lobster hurricanes.
Could you imagine? Literally imagine a
a
lobster.
plane would
hurricane.
probably
Yeah.
crash in a lobster hurricane too.
Oh man, it's half of it is a plane movie.
Oh shit!
That's
So they're
plane down. It's a sequel.
we could tie it into the Passengers universe. Oh, this is random. We're almost at the anniversary of this movie. October 24th was the release date.
Oh wow.
Wow,
We're
4
recording on
days.
October 20th. Happy birthday,
guys.
Passengers!
What if somebody in that plane was in the bathroom?
Duh.
When it exploded.
Yeah.
Wow,
just
one
not get any
person
help?
survived. Huh.
I've definitely been on a plane where I thought it was crashing while I was going to the bathroom.
It's always the
before.
most jumpy in there.
Yeah, it's like they have like the handle.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think there's a ghost who's like
Covered in crap, and he's like
Covered in
walking
shit.
around somewhere, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't really care about that, dude."
he's like, I don't know, I'm covered in shit, guys. Anyways, thanks for joining us, guys.